Salutations and a clinch fist salute. Cyber Posse, welcome y bienvenidos to Outlaw News. The voice of the barrio, the voice of the Vato Loco, the voice of the voiceless. ¿Qué pasa, pinche cyber raza? Everyone suited and booted with them critical thinking beanies on, and got your Cortezes laced up tight and ready to get activated today? Because today, your boy the Outlaws continuing with this part 3, yes, Cyber Outlaws, part 3 of our alternative in-depth profile and snitch influencer free perspective on one comic book gangster celebrity sex offender, Rene Boxer Enriquez. But let's take a moment first, Cyber Homies, and recap what we Outlaw Renegades learned previously in both part 1 and 2. We explored in part 1 Marvel comic book super echelon gangster snitch rapist boxer Enriquez's Parole, and how MK Ultra test subject Mundo Mendoza, a self-admitted serial killer, vouched for Boxer at his parole hearing. Plus, how Boxer accuses his loving family of physically and sexually abusing him as a young child during his parole hearings. We also discovered how mainstream media, gang experts, plus the snitch influencer YouTube community intentionally glorify celebrity rapist Boxer Enriquez and never mention or do everything to downplay Boxer's 1981 conviction for raping an intoxicated teenage girl. And we can't forget the sickening praises of joy the YouTube snitch influencer puppets and Boxer's fanboy groupies have been expressing over the news intellectual echelon heroin addict gangster rapist Boxer Enriquez's parole, and the overwhelming comments of support Boxer is receiving on social media platforms. In part 2, we covered Megan's Law celebrity snitch rapist Boxer Enriquez joining a gang at the age of 12, and Boxer's first 2 crimes that eventually sent him to prison for the first time at the age of 18. A drug-crazed string of robberies to support his, Boxer's habit, not his hood. Also, for the despicable act of participating in a forced gang raping of an intoxicated teenage girl. Ese vato vale verga. If you haven't seen those first 2 videos, go to our channel's videos and check them out, Outlaw Posse. Now that we recapped our previous part 1 and 2, let's start with part 3, Outlaw Posse. Also, the intro and outro of this video, again, might sound different than the actual profile. The Outlaw is recording the intro and outro separate, so apologies for any sound quality issues. But your boy the Outlaw isn't a seasoned or even an amateur YouTuber or a podcaster. The Outlaw is merely a rebellious YouTube renegade, an outlaw who lives outside the rules of social media conformity. But let's keep moving, because this is the proper profile of one registered rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez, right? The dope fiend gangster, the guy who went to prison for putting in work for his habit and rape. That super echelon gangster, right? Intellectual mafioso is who we're profiling today. Now let's move on. He's in jail, 1981, okay? He's released on one of the earliest parole dates in 1989. This is why I said, how many of you guys have homeboys that robbed a few places, right? And are doing a long stretch? And this clown, who went to jail for over 20 robberies, almost 30, and rape, didn't even do a decade, right? Participated in how many murders while he was in there? Was known to be a member of what prison gang while he was in there? Was involved in how many assaults while he was in there? And this is all in his book that he claims, right? That IGI and all the prison staff was aware of his activities. Yet, let me stamp that you're free to go out, right? And yet, no one knew about his rape charge, right? I want you to pay attention. This is important. No one knew about his rape charge. Somehow, mysteriously, was helped to stay hush, hush, okay? A known echelon informant from the get-go had his rape conviction go hush, hush. That's all I'm saying. Think about that for a moment. And let's get back to it. Because I want to get back to this because a lot of these snitch fanboy groupies, oh, Rene Boxer Enriquez deserves a second chance. Give registered rapist Rene Boxer Enriquez a second chance. He has earned a second chance at freedom. Well, to that I say, ha! Let me say that again. Ha! The man has already had a second chance. Okay? He's been done given a second chance. He got not even a decade for almost 30 robberies and raping a girl. Not even. Almost 9 years he got. That was a second chance. He's had a second chance. So miss me and quit it with all that bullshit and give the man a second chance. Say it right. Give him a third chance because he fucked his second chance up. Like his first one. Let's say that again. Give him a third chance because he fucked his second chance up. Miserably. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. His second chance. 1989, Rene Boxer Enriquez is released after rape and robbing for being a dope fiend back on the streets. Now, again, if you read his book, like I have, you're aware that one of the very first incidents that he admits that he got into a physical confrontation upon being paroled was him being high and drunk at some hood party. High and drunk at a hood party. Ding, ding, ding. 1981, gang rape at a hood party. Woman. Okay, 1989. He's had a hood party. Drunk and he's high. And he feels that he has to press the line that he's some hardcore prison gangster and gangbang on people and say, hey, I'm Boxer Enriquez. I'm somebody. I went to prison for rape and robbing places because I'm a drug addict. So that means you have to respect me and fear me. That's what he's really saying. He can try to say, I've been to Folsom. I've been to Quentin. I've been here. I know that person. But when it's all said and done, you went to jail for robbing, for being a drug addict, and raping the girl. And now you want to be recognized as a gangster? Okay? Yeah, right. Think about that. Now I want you guys to realize, one of the first incidents is gangbanging at a party, drunk and high, on a woman, right? All the men at that party that were there, they were probably from a barrio, they were probably willing to fucking go heads up with him or at least argue with him. He chooses a woman, right? Not even the drunk little guy that is wearing glasses, is already all drunk in the corner. No, I need somebody more vulnerable. Somebody with long hair and makeup, right? Sound familiar? Victimized a woman almost 10 years earlier. Now he's over here victimizing another woman. But luckily for her, she had a crew of little down homies that didn't buy his hype that he was some super gangster and probably were able to see through his bullshit and realize, hey, he's just a dope fiend and he's probably in there for some other dumb crimes like rape, right? But they should respect him, pay him taxes, and bow beneath him because he's a dope fiend and a rapist. That is a proper perspective of who this man is. Okay? Period. No sugarcoating it, no watering it down. I'm not being biased. It is what it is. And that's what happened. He went to jail for victimizing a woman. He's out of jail, he's victimizing a woman, right? And it's not the last time while he's on his second chance, right? What else did he start doing while he's out on parole? He goes and kills 2 people, David Gallegos and Cynthia Galvadon. Let's touch on David Gallegos for a moment. Because David Gallegos allegedly was an expert in gangster that was on the hit list. I don't know, we don't know. But the point is that David Gallegos pretty much a bum, pretty much a homeless dope fiend, didn't have a car, wasn't taxing anybody, wasn't slanging big weight, didn't control the territory, wasn't shot calling in the hood. He was the neighborhood dope fiend, right? That went from fix to fix. Now I want you to pay attention because we are talking about Mr. My video that's gone YouTube viral says I'm an intellectual gangster and I study in business management skills and I'm very business oriented, right? But yet you made a stupid decision to go kill a fucking dope fiend for no reason, no money, no turf, nothing to be gained. He literally went and got the guy who hangs out in front of 7-Eleven all day, waiting for the next guy to come through with the fix, and killed him. Yeah, echelon gangster, business-like minded, great choice, wonderful decision. Yeah, you see? He ain't such an echelon gangster. He's not an intellectual. He doesn't practice these business skills that he claims he acquires, right? Instead he does dumb shit. Dope fiend mobile shit. But then he went to jail in 1981 for doing dope fiend mobile shit, right? And now he's somehow an echelon super gangster, right? Right? Killing a homeless guy. Okay? Let's move on. David Gallegos was a nobody, nothing to be gained, right? But he went and killed him. Moving on. What's he go do? Goes and kills Cynthia Galvadon, right? A woman that really posed no threat to him. Wasn't challenging his authority. Again, no turf was to be gained. No large stash of drugs were to be earned. Nothing. He went and killed the woman for $10 or $20, whatever his excuse is, for chump change. He killed a woman for pennies. I tipped in the past people $20 for giving me a drink. And he goes and kills somebody. Okay? Not everybody in this YouTube landia is rubbed shoulders with people in the game, been in the game, associated with the game, seen the life, knows what it's about, right? I'm assuming most of you probably only watch TVs, documentaries, and that's what you base your life on. But those real ones that walked in those shoes, rubbed shoulders with these people, and I'm not talking about prison gangsters, I'm talking about drug dealers, street level, mid-level, importers, whatever, pimp, whatever you want to call it, extortionist, money launderer, anyone within that black market lifestyle, right? You ain't a boss unless you took a loss. I've known people that have taken losses, thousands of dollars, and not thought twice of killing a person. Why? Because they're doing so good in life, they can afford to take that loss. They know that part of that life is taking a loss at one point. What you outlaw posse don't know is if you listen to most Italian mafiosos or guys who make their money off that extortion racket, a large portion of people never pay them back. But they make so much money off the other people's vids that are so high, they can afford to take that loss. A real drug dealer will take a loss at one point in his life. A real gangster that's really on top of his game will take a loss at one point in his life. And here we have a guy who again claims that he studies these business-like strategic moves. Sorry, that he studies business-like ethics and puts them to practice in his criminal ventures.
Classical literature, this Eastern philosophy.
And he's killing a woman for $20 or $10. Okay? If he really was studying these business books and philosophies, he obviously is overlooking the section of risk management, which talks about any successful business, any successful entrepreneur, anyone that's doing anything, generating income, must be prepared and willing to take a loss. Know when to take a loss and when to fight for that loss. And he chose to fight for $20. Mr. I make $60,000 a year for myself. I'm moving thousands of dollars every day, collecting thousands of dollars of extortion money, and I'm gonna kill somebody for $20. If you're from that life and you run amok and rub shoulders with people of this life, you would know that majority of them would be laughing and going, $20? And go, what a fucking idiot. Now I want to elaborate on this because if you guys like me, like watching gangster movies, I watched a lot of them. And one of my favorite ones is Bronx Tale. I believe it's from the late 90s, directed by Robert De Niro. For those who've never heard of it, Bronx Tale. Okay, based on the Italian Mafia, New York. There's a young boy in there whose name is Cologino, goes by C. I'm going to explain the scene and show you how it relates to Cynthia Galvadon. Now in this scene, Cologio's starting an extortion racket or trying to be an extortionist or, money lender, loan shark. And apparently he loans money to a guy who's dodging him, owes him $20, doesn't want to pay him, running away. Well, his little crew of little dumb knuckleheads, they're a bunch of morons, are telling him, oh, you should beat this guy up. Why are you letting him dodge you like that? He's disrespecting you. You need to put it down on him, right? But he's not feeling their advice. Somehow, deep down in his heart, he's like, I ain't feeling like that's stupid, kind of what they're saying. Let me go see what the big homie has to say. So he goes around the block, and he goes to see the big homie, who is Sonny, the main shot caller, mafioso guy in the neighborhood. Before he talks to Sonny about this issue, the little low-level little mobsters are repeating, regurgitating the same dumb bullshit. Go fuck this fool up. Hit him over the head with the bat. Lay it down. He's disrespecting you, right? But remember, these are the low-level nobodies that laugh at every joke the Godfather says, even though they're not funny, and spit shine his shoes, right?
He's out of your life for $20. You got
lackeys, monkeys, fools that don't deserve respect, regardless of what they're into. Okay? But the big dog, man, the guy who made the move to run the block, who knows what's up, right? Two things I'm going to point out are what he says. And one is quickly, when they're talking about prison, and he's telling Sonny what a smart guy you are, Sonny goes, then why'd I go to prison for 12 years? Because a smart man wouldn't have gone to prison. Okay? That's one thing. He wanted him to see that a real gangster doesn't go to prison and shouldn't be glorified and be looked at as a gangster because of all the time he spent in prison. Okay? That's one. Second one is the money issue, and this is how it relates to Cynthia Galvadon. He asked Sonny about what he should do for those $20. And Sonny replies, do you like the guy? The boy goes, no. And there's your answer. You got rid of him for $20. You didn't have to do shit. You have to go over his head. You didn't have to do anything. Put yourself on the line to end up going to prison for some dumb shit. And you got rid of someone you didn't even want around for $20. Now, remember, this guy's an intellect. This guy also is represented, at least in the movie, figuratively speaking, as a high-level intellectual gangster.
Limousines.
Look at what he said to the boy.
All the money in the world.
Look at what he said about prison.
There was none of that.
And look at how he acts. And look at the outcome. The boy felt it was right. C looked and goes, you're right. It's just that simple. Fuck it. It's just $20. A real G should be willing and able to take that loss. You don't want to, but a real one should be able to and not be hurt one bit. Okay? Now let's flip it around.
Quite a large crew, probably
Mr.
one of the most successful crews in Southern
super
California.
echelon, intellectual,
and I did all through
business-minded gangster
We'd alter
of
their
the
names,
year
we'd alter my name when they wrote back.
kills a
And
woman for
we conducted
$20
business out of Pelican
right?
Bay for about 10 years.
after he just got
And I was
beat up
carrying maybe,
for gangbanging
16
on
years
another
for selling
woman
Pelican Bay.
because he should
That's
be
not bad for being
respected
in prison.
because he went to jail for robbing places because he's a drug addict and raping a woman. So let's put it all in perspective to where we're at right here now. He went to jail for being a drug addict. Nothing gangster about that. He went to jail for raping a woman. Nothing gangster about that. He got out of jail, started gangbanging, and in a fight with the woman. Ain't nothing gangster about that. Okay? Nothing gangster about that. He went and killed a homeless guy for no financial gain or respect, credibility, turf, nothing. Okay? Ain't nothing gangster about that. Puro pendejadas. More unnecessary movidas. A real G would realize what fights you need to fight and what fights to leave alone. And he chose the most dumbest incidents to get into. Then what you do? Goes and kills a woman for $20, which will come back to bite him in the future because he killed the wrong woman because she's related to somebody. Okay? Again, ain't nothing gangster about killing somebody for $20. I just got explaining to you what a real G would think of when it comes to $20 loss, or how a real G should act when it comes to taking a small little loss like that. Okay? This is just $20. Piss on $20. I go to the casino and I'll bet $20 on an average hand of blackjack. And this guy went and killed somebody and got life. 30 years because now he's on his third chance to get out, right? This was his second chance, sorry. This was his second chance. So again, miss me with that, give him a second chance shit. Because he's had it in 1989 and he screwed it up by assaulting a woman, murdering a homeless guy, and killing another woman, right? Do you see the pattern here? Puro doping pendejada movidas from day one and assaulting and sexually abusing and killing women, okay? He hurt one woman earlier in 1981. Now in 1989, in his second chance, he doesn't just hurt one woman, hurts two women, and he escalates it from sexual to murder, right? Any good profile will tell you that you escalate your crimes. Hey, we see this. Rape, assault, and murder. He's taken to the ultimate level when it comes to hurting women. He started off raping, now he's murdering on a second chance, right? And people are right now saying give him a second chance. But on the second chance, he escalated his first original type of crime. Okay, there it is. That's 1989. Right? He's back in jail, he's arrested for not gangster shit, for busting dope fiend movidas again, and killing unnecessary people who turned out to be a woman. Proper perspective of how this man should be profiled. You get it? Are you starting to realize that I'm not a hater? Did I just see through the bullshit and I see what it is? Or maybe I just live by a different code and standards. I don't idolize a guy who rides a bike at 25 and think that's the Vato I want to be like. I don't idolize a Vato that brags about his criminal history and credibility all the time he does in prison. Okay? Because a real G doesn't brag about going to prison. He brags about getting away with the crime. I want you to understand, okay? Because The super gangster talks about a warrior code and living by warrior standards. Well, I study warrior culture and I try to apply this stuff into my daily life. Even in the past when I was a fuck up, I applied it into my life. That's when I learned it. And one of the first things I learned about the warrior code, which is the Spartans, warriors, which are one of the most famous warriors in history, in order to join their fraternity, to become that Spartan warrior, you were sent out to do your first hit, okay? Now I want you to realize that these Navy SEALs and a lot of these today's top secret military groups are based on that strategy, that ideology. Spartan warrior, to be part of that group, you had to go out into the village, usually a nobody that nobody would miss, and kill them. But the key was, you had to come back to the camp and get away with the crime. If at any point you were caught, or even not caught, just brought to the awareness that you were connected to that crime, you were out. You were not worthy of being a Spartan warrior. You were not worthy. They did not glamorize the fact that you went to jail and did the time for the crime. They didn't give a fuck. You got caught, you failed. You're not worthy of this echelon status. And here we have a man who brags about being in jail his whole life for drug-related crimes, sexual crimes against women, and violent crimes against women. And claims to be a warrior, claims to be an echelon gangster, an intellectual, business-minded, intellectual warrior gangster.
Did an educator.
Yeah.
So we take college courses. I mean,
My
we read all
perspective,
this
he's
classical
through all
literature,
that
this Eastern
bullshit.
philosophy.
Breaks all the lights,
it's
all the
absorbed.
smoke and
I mean,
mirrors,
we utilize
and
this.
sees
We
right
practice
through who that guy is. A weak individual that was told at 12 years old, stop crying. Because real G's don't cry. You see the psychological pattern that's been developing? And we're not even into the 90s. You see? The outlaw's not a conspiracy theorist. He just takes it to the next level. The next level we should be taking it to. Thinking critical of who is influencing our thoughts, views, and opinions. And do they deserve our time, honor, respect, and trust? That's it. If that's called a conspiracy theorist, shit, I got no problem strapping on that tinfoil beanie. And I'll wear it with pride, right? Because what you guys don't realize is it only takes a few people wearing tinfoil beanie hats to scare you masses of snitch influencer groupies, right? Just like the prison yard, it only takes a handful of guys, the weak morons in line. So I got no problem strapping on that beanie, tinfoil beanie, right? Got no problem. Because I know what the masses are. And I know what I'm up against. Nothing. No tienen nada. No snitch influencer. That's why they all block me. Because they know what's up. The time has come. Someone to finally social media DP them. Give them that cyber bitch slap, as the outlaw does every time his voice is heard on YouTube. So subscribe and like the channel, because every sub makes my voice louder, stronger, and no longer can they deny the lies they spread. Just like I broke Mundo and forced him to admit who Joe Morgan really is, and I'm not done with that. I will do the rest with all of them. So let's get back to this registered rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez. Because now, back in jail, right? For what? Killing a woman and killing a homeless guy because he's a dope fiend. Okay? Now we're going to move on. Let's move on to 1991. Because there's something that you guys overlook. Something that you guys are not aware of. Something that I think you guys really need to pay attention. 1991, him and Topo Peters in the LA County Jail stab and attempt to kill one Salvador Bunuastro. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm trying to, but I know I'm not really getting it right. Bunuastro. Like I said, I'm going to apologize if I don't get it right. But you guys all seen the video. You've all heard him talk about it. He writes about it in his book. Him and Topo Peters are on camera trying to kill this guy, right? They were convicted in state court of trying to kill this guy, right? It's very important because in 1996, the federal government launches the first federal RICO case against the Mexican Mafia, naming and indicting 13 alleged high-level Mexican Mafia members in that federal case, right? And I follow this case. I read this case. I know everything about this fucking case, right? On that federal indictment, if you guys stop believing snitch influencers and do a little Google search and read the paperwork, the very first charge on that federal indictment is the stabbing and attempted murder of Salvador Bunuastro in the LA County Jail by Topo Peters and registered rapist Rene Enriquez. It mentions his name. It says it clear on the paperwork. Registered rapist Rene Enriquez. When it's that first indictment, the first charge on that federal indictment. It even states that one, Chuco Castro, the number one informant in that case, testified that one, Topo Peters, was involved in the crime. He was the one that got convicted federally. That was one of the major federal crimes Topo Peters got sent to federal prison for, but not Boxer Enriquez. But again, Chuco Castro testified that Topo Peters got a shank from a fellow inmate and used it for the attack, and that Rene, registered rapist Enriquez, filled out the forms to orchestrate the transfer movement to allow that assault to take place in that lawyer's interview room, okay? So the main orchestrator was registered rapist Rene Boxer Enriquez, whose rape seems to be hidden while he's in prison so he can join echelon gangs so he can orchestrate crimes, I guess, is orchestrating the movement of inmates, collecting a weapon, and is seen on camera trying to kill somebody in a case that was used to federally indict Topo Peters, but not Rene Boxer Enriquez. Somehow, Rene Boxer Enriquez never got federally charged. One of the so-called top echelon guys of that criminal organization never got charged in the federal indictment in 1996, even though his name is mentioned as a participant and orchestrator of the first charge on that indictment. Think about that for a moment. Because he went to jail, his rape conviction was hidden, and he's not federally charged. But he's supposedly not an informant yet. He doesn't flip for almost another, 6 years. And he's not being federally indicted. Even though the prime witness testified that Rene Boxer Enriquez is a participant. There's a video of him, and he self-admits it. But he wasn't part of that federal case and was able to stay on state prison to orchestrate and order more crimes. Right? Make $60,000 a year. Even though it's on paper and a witness testified to it. But he was never federally charged. Okay? Okay? There it is. There it is. See? You see? We think critical. We see it for what it is. We dot every I and we overlook nothing. And we corroborate what we see and hear and read. We don't just tell fairy tales and hope that it sticks and everyone buys that bullshit, right? Like the mystery bank accounts that no snitch influencer has ever shown anybody, right? Like the court paperwork to the reason why the shoe system was closed, right? Why The shoe prisoners return to GP, right? They tell you fairy tales, but do they show you the court legal grounds why this happened, right? Right? No. Exactly. And you wonder why I say fairy tales, right? My cyber outlaws, unfortunately, this is where we end today's part 3 of Registered Rapist Rene Boxer Enriquez, Snitch Influencer Free In-Depth Perspective and Alternative Profile. On the next video, part 4, your boy the Outlaw will take you further down the back alley rabbit hole. With comic book creme de la creme rapist, celebrity gangster boxer Enriquez's 2003 famous debriefing YouTube viral video, and what in fact has Hollywood celebrity snitch influencer rapist boxer actually done for law enforcement to earn his freedom from a life sentence in prison. Guaranteed, the next video is going to reveal some secrets both celebrity rapist snitch influencer boxer and his puppet master want hidden more than his rape conviction. So till next time, stay suited and booted and strapped with those critical thinking beanies, Outlaw Posse. Plus make sure to like and sub to the Outlaw if you haven't done so already, because every new sub makes the Outlaw's voice louder and more impossible for the snitch influencer community to ignore the truth. The Outlaw is over and out. Y ya saben, pensaremos.